Hey guys, it's your girl Teresa. Welcome to the Dental Assistants Corner. In this video, I just want to give a couple of tips for dental assisting school. I recently graduated a few months ago, and I want to help out anybody who is just starting or is about to start or is thinking about it. Now, a lot of these tips are kind of going to be general tips for school, period. So even if you're not a dental assistant, then, I feel like these help out in a lot of different ways. So the first thing that I want to say is, of course, to be prepared. You want to treat dental assisting school the same way that you would treat any other school, any other class. You want to make sure you have notebooks, paper, pens, pencils, pens of different colors. Like, you want to make sure you have all of that, because you are going to have a lot of studying to do, a lot of note taking to do. Now, depending on your school, some teachers allow you to record, some don't. Some can allow you to record a fish's voice. So if you're able to do that, that's great, because you can kind of go back yourself and really be able to, figure out what they said, so you don't have to necessarily make them repeat it. You can kind of give yourself class again. So if you're able to do that, that's a great tip as well. One really important thing is learning how to shorthand your notes, because you want to have to write your notes as fast as possible, but you want to make sure that it makes sense. So what I'll do sometimes is, if I notice that there's a word that we're using often, then I'll create like a little key for it in like the upper left, upper right hand corner on the side or something like that. Like, for example, one day we were using the word adjustment a lot. So I just put ADJ, but I put at the top ADJ equals adjustment, because I don't want to look at that later and then forget, like, is that adjustment? Is that adjacent? Is that, adjective? Like, I don't know. So if you do shorthand it, try to make yourself a little key, because you might think, oh, I'm going to remember, but you might not remember. So it's really important to do that. Another thing, I know this might seem like common sense, but ask questions. I personally was somebody who was afraid to ask questions because I didn't want to sound stupid, or I didn't want to hold everybody back. But I've reached a point to where I didn't ask questions, and I get to the test, I get to the final, and now I'm screwed. Most dental assistant schools, I know I can't speak for all of them, but I know mine personally, the teachers wanted you to ask questions. They would tell us every week, if you have a question, if you don't understand, just ask. Like, you get this, right? Because with dental assisting, it's not something that they're just gonna be like, oh, okay, fine, you just pass. I mean, if it's something that's pretty close, they may say, okay, good enough. But they're not just handing them out like hotcakes. Like, you have to earn it, and you do have to get a C or higher. So it's not like you're gonna be able to get a D and barely pass. Like, you have to actually try and actually put the work in. Another tip that I have for dental assisting school, especially if you went to one of the ones I went to, and that's one of the ones that's like, a 13-week program, show up on time, show up for class. If it's something that's just super serious, of course you can work something out, but if it's not, then you really need to make sure that you show up, because if you don't, then you're missing a lot. Like I said, especially with the 13-week classes, because missing 4 days, I mean, that's a third of the program, basically. It's like, if you go to one of those 9 months programs, you're not gonna go and miss 3 months of class, because that's not gonna work out for you. Now, those are pretty cool. I'm going to make another video kind of talking about that as well, how those classes work. But you definitely want to make sure that you show up, because dental assisting it's a lot. It's not like, oh, okay, well, this isn't important, so I don't need to show up for it, or I don't need to listen to this, I don't need to know this, because some regular classes are like that. Like, I had a couple of classes to where it was like some of the stuff was not useful. I was not going to end up using it. I was not going to end up needing it. And it was just like, you know, what's the point of class today? Like, did you just need something to fill in? But with dental assisting, every second, every word is going to be something important. So you have to be ready to dedicate, you know, the 8 weeks, the 13 weeks, 9 months, 10 months, whatever school you end up going to, you have to be able to commit to all of that time. I mean, as I said before, stuff happens, life happens. You know, we know that if, God forbid, your mom died the day before, you know, I'm not saying you should be in class. You know, of course, they're going to be understanding and they're going to help you figure something out. But, oh my God, I got a paper cut, I can't go to class. Oh my God, I have a pimple, I can't go to class. Like, no, you're not going to pass with that. Because even though, like, my school, my instructors did their best to help you catch up, but regardless of it, you're still missing out on information. You still miss class that day. You still miss lab that day. So, you know, you want to make sure that you're going to be dedicated to the time of going. Because I went to a community college for a few years, and I admit there was times I was late, came late, left early, just didn't feel like going to class, just hung out, just popped in for a couple minutes, just signed in and left, all type of stuff. But you're not going to be able to do that here, especially because usually these schools, you know, are paying attention to who's there, because that's going to be a bigger part of your grade. You know, like, it's not going to be like, oh yeah, well, I was a dental assistant but I only went to class once. Like, no, that's not happening. So, you know, if you feel like it's not something that you truly want to do, I also feel like you shouldn't try to participate in dental assisting school either, because it's a lot of work. Like, it's not gonna be easy. Like, I'm letting anybody know that now. Don't go into it expecting it to be easy, because it's not. I mean, a lot of things aren't easy, but dental assisting school definitely isn't. I've seen some videos of people who dropped out of dental assisting school because they were like, it was too hard, or school's not for me. And when people say school's not for them, and this is no offense to anybody who feels that way, but I feel like a good 80% of the people who say that are just too lazy and or too ignorant to put in the work. You know, nobody really likes, you know, being told what to do. Nobody likes having to do homework. Nobody likes having to sacrifice days and dedicate them to school. At the end of the day, nobody likes to do that. But a big part of being an adult is going to be doing things that you don't like to, or that you don't want to do. I don't like paying bills. I don't like having to get, you know, a paycheck with X amount of dollars and having to spend all of it or most of it on rent and bills. But am I going to decide to go be homeless and say, oh, paying bills is not for me, so I'm not going to do it? No, of course not. I mean, it's life, you know, so, but that's another reason why I'm suggesting for you not to go into dental assisting school if it's not something that you actually want to do, because it's going to be annoying. You know I wanted to be a dental assistant. I actually have ultimate goals to be a dentist. I'm starting off as a dental assistant first. And I know that that's something I like. That's something I truly wanted to do. So for the first time in life, I was, you know, for the first time in 24 years, I was happy to go to school. I was excited to find out, oh my God, what are we going to learn next? What new surface are we going to learn about the tooth? What new material are we going to learn about? Like, I was happy to be in school. I didn't feel like I was there from 8 to 6. You know, I don't like waking up early. When I was in high school, I was like, oh my God, you know. So it's definitely a big difference if you're going to school for something that you like and for something that you want, because it's something that interests you. You know, it's like when you're in high school, in middle school, and you have that favorite class. Like, if you love math, if you love science, you're happy to go to chemistry, happy to go to biology, you're happy to go to geometry, because that's what you like, that's what you're interested in. And when you're forced to go to all these other classes, you don't like them. Like, I didn't like history. However, my 10th grade history teacher, my 11th grade history teacher were fun. They were, you know, they tried to bring a lot of life into it, so that made it better. But, you know, other teachers just made it so boring, and I'm just like, oh my God, this stuff happened 3,000 years ago, I don't care. But, you know, if it was ever something that I was interested in, then, you know, I was excited to go to class. So, you know, you definitely want to look into or ask around more about what the class is, because another thing is the school that I went to, you know, they didn't accept financial aid. So you were paying out of pocket, you're paying a down payment, and you're paying for it monthly, even if you drop, unless you have a, you know, legit reason, you know, and I'm pretty sure you can figure out what type those are to where you're not going to class anymore, and it's not refundable. So, you know, and it's not cheap. You know, I don't want to quote you on an exact price because it might change, might be higher, might be lower. It's of course going to be different depending on what state you're in, but I do want to let you know that there's a comma in it and the first number is not a 1. So, you know, you don't want to go into dental assisting school, go the first day, nope, I don't want to do this, because you're still going to have to pay for it. I mean, if you have the money, hey, go for it, send me some of it, that'd be great. But, you know, if you don't want to do it, then it's just going to be a waste of time and money. So that's why I just keep saying, you know, make sure that you look into it. And again, not just dental assisting. If you want to be a pharmacist, if you want to be a hygienist, if you want to be a CNA, if you want to be a nurse, you know, don't just go for something because it sounds good. You know, because I've known a few people who say they want to be a CNA and they want to be a nurse just because it sounds good, but it's not something that they really want to do, because they're like, oh my God, I have to do this, I have to be on my feet, I have to, you know, people want to be a dental assistant. Like, what? There's blood, there's germs, there's, you know, so it's like, know the common sense stuff, know some of the other stuff. As I said first, you know, treat it like you would treat any other class. Take notes, have all your materials. I personally feel like flashcards are the best study method ever, because it's something that you can carry in your purse, in your pocket, in your backpack. You know, check online, at the grocery store, when you're on the toilet, the bathtub, you know, in the middle of cooking. Just don't burn the house down if you're studying too hard. So you want to make sure, I mean, find whatever study method works best for you. I personally feel like flashcards are awesome. There's a few apps that let you create flashcards on there, so you don't have to carry them. You can pull your phone out. You're on your phone all day anyway. Why don't you, you know, just go ahead and use it to study. One other thing about dental assisting school is try to intern as much as you can. That's a mistake that I made. I should have kept interning and I didn't, and I'm really upset that I didn't. But I suggest for you to keep interning and to intern as many hours as you possibly can, and to make sure that you go somewhere that is going to let you do stuff, because some places will kind of use you for the free labor to do other stuff that's still going to be your job. But I mean, like cleaning up the room, sterilizing, anybody with 2 hands can do that. That's not something that, you know, so you want to make sure that you go in and you step up as well, because some place that you're interning at may be hiring or may end up hiring, and they want to see, you know, okay, wow, they're stepping up this much to work for free, they're coming in this much for free, how much are they going to come in, how much harder are they going to work once I pay them, you know? And of course not every single office is going to do that, but, you know, I've talked to a few hygienists, doctors, and they said that's really important for interning and working interviews, is to show that you're going to step up, because they also want to make sure you're not lazy. You know, if they say, hey, can you clean that room, or hey, can you take this x-ray, they're asking you to do it to see if you're going to step up and say yes, because if you say no, that makes you look lazy. So there's probably a couple of things that I'm forgetting. I might just end up doing a part 2, but go ahead and comment any questions that you have for me about dental assisting, about dental assisting school, about hygiene assisting, working through a temp service. I'm going to make videos about all of those, so don't worry, but I will answer any questions that you guys have. Okay, so please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as long as you can handle the tooth. Bye.